All right, how you doing, boys and girls? Welcome to part three of my series, Living in a Safe Universe. If you caught part one and part two, you know we've covered some different ground. Now we're going to dive into talking about animal totems as another form of safety and protection. Okay, my name is Jim Ventura. I'm a professional astrologer and navigational consultant. I do sessions with clients here in my home office in Phoenix as well as by phone. Info about all that available on jimventura.com. So let's get right into the heart of the video and get away from the sales part. All right. So some interesting stories had come up along the way with this as well that I talked about on Instagram. But again, let's talk about animal totems and what that means. So in many other cultures, Druid culture, different types of Indian cultures, African cultures, you see this sometimes, this element of ceremonial dancing with feathers or antlers or skins. With these different cultures, they were trying to bring in the energy of that animal. And this is not as esoteric as it sounds, even for us in quote unquote in a normal world. Hate that word, by the way. We're not that normal. If you see an animal, a bird gets in your house, or you keep seeing dogs or things like that. Listen, even not knowing about animal totems and what that means, there's an instinctive part of you that kind of thinks like something's going on. Why do I keep seeing, swans or hummingbirds or so? When it comes to totems, you can consciously choose an animal to work with to bring in that energy. The theory and the idea is that animals represent almost distorted, exaggerated elements of human behavior. Dogs are all about loyalty. Humans can be loyal or have difficulty with loyalty. Okay, so how does this all tie in with animal totems? And also, in a lot of cultures, and one of the animals we are going to talk about today is the stag or elk or different variations of that. And with those magnificent creatures, often hunters will want to hang the head above the fireplace. Not only is that an accomplishment of the task of hunting, but also it's sort of showing off like I've captured the energy of this. Whether they're conscious of it or not. For many of us, eating the meat of an animal, of course, is a way to bring that energy in. Making my vegetarian listeners gag here. You don't have to kill an animal to gain its power. So let's tie this together with the idea of protection. So all kinds of different animals. When I first started learning about the Druid animal totems that I typically work with my clients, I was immediately drawn to a bear. For a lot of different reasons, and I've written about this in past columns. If you've read my columns, you go back over some of them, and in radio shows that I've done, I've talked about the bear energy. Great form of protection. But what I think is more applicative for a lot of people to work with is the stag. So, here's the card on the bear. Definitely a power animal of strong, disposition. But let's talk a bit about the stag. So, this artwork, of course, is brilliant. You see the stag bellowing as it stands before a sort of a birch tree combination that represents a gateway. So there's a lot of meaning behind this as well, too. If you see a stag, out in nature, it can feel very overwhelming in a sense of, again, magnificence that you caught it. But the idea of taking on the stag energy, stag means pride, independence, and protection. Obviously, in the Druid tradition, it's related a lot to new beginnings and fresh starts. But one of the things that a stag can do if you take its energy, again, you don't have to kill it, you can, just meditate on the energy of stag, is it can help you to achieve a greater sense of poise. If you're ever going on a job interview and you're nervous, or have a court appearance, or walking in an area of town where you don't feel comfortable, or you have to make some type of confrontation, meditating on stag is a brilliant thing to do because it brings the energy and the power of that animal to you. Listen, in a very, humorous way, if you look at a stag, it's a magnificent animal, again, as we mentioned, but it also has horns on its head. So you've got this sort of dignity and posture, but also the implication that if you kind of mess with me, I might have to gorge you with my horns. So it's not a particularly aggressive animal by nature, but there's a certain disposition to this that is very powerful to take on. And certainly a good posture to carry with you in the world, to feel safer and to present an appearance or an energy about you that, you're not to be messed with. Believe it or not, people will read that. So it's a great kind of, passive way where you don't have to necessarily fight or carry a gun or things like that, because you can carry this energy with you in almost all circumstances, and you have a dignity about you. I've worked with bear and stag for many years, and I always joke about that. People just don't mess with me. Uh, you know, 210-pound muscular body probably helps with the situation a bit, but I'm telling you, it's just more of a presence. I'm not interested. I'm not having it. And so this can go a long way in feeling a sense of protection, which is what we're ultimately talking about. There's other interesting implications with this, even with the Viking rune stones. There's a rune called Algiz, another type of oracle, the Viking rune stones, as would be animal cards or things of that nature that I also, work with my clients and for myself. There's a rune called Algiz, and it is a symbol of protection. Interestingly enough, the references to protection, sedge or rushes, and an elk. So again, very similar connotations to a stag. And the concept is, the energy of Algiz serves as a mirror for the spiritual warrior. And the pronounced interesting disposition of this is that the battle of the spiritual warrior is always with the self. And what this energy is about is, it talks about two forms of protection. Again, the curved horns of the elk, which keep an open space around you, but also the warning rustle of sedge grass. And it's another form of protection, which is, animals in nature will sense or see movement in the bushes, and they get out of there if there's a predator coming. They learn how to tune into that and how to disappear, how to run, how to retreat. No, and contrary to popular belief, that is not weakness at times to retreat. Both in war situations and battle, we know that retreat can be a wise maneuver. And as human beings, if it's an unwinnable situation, you get out of there. You know what I mean? For many of us, our instinct will tell us if something is uncomfortable. We don't want to hurt people's feelings, or we proceed anyway, and we should follow that instinct. So no weakness to get out of a situation that feels uncomfortable. But again, if you carry the energy of stag as one of many animals that can be worked with for different reasons, the beauty of the stag is that confidence, that dignity, that grace, that posture that you will carry, and people will likely to respect you. And you don't have to speak about the horns on your head, which can do massive damage if necessary. You know what I mean? Again, I've used a symbol in many cases, and I've never had to fight anybody. You know what I mean? I'm not interested in that. So again, profound wisdom through animal totems, again, even expressed beautifully with the rune of protection, with the rune stones. You see when you work with multiple oracles like I do, you see so many interesting correlations of things that line up, that you see sort of over and over again talked about in different cultures. So these are archetypes that we can all work with. So yeah, another way to live in a safe universe: confidence, the ability to know that you're protected and that you are safe, and carrying that dignity with you, which sends that energy out into the world that, hey, not the person you want to push buttons with. In that sense, good posture, boys and girls. Anyway, so okay, so that kind of wraps up our part 3 here. If you're not already subscribing to my YouTube channel, obviously subscribe so you can see the monthly videos. Feel free to forward these and pass these on to friends, or put on Facebook or other places. I absolutely love you guys sharing. It's very much appreciated. Information about my services can be found at jimventura.com. And and you can find out about my books and personal sessions and classes that I teach. All that good stuff is available there. So yeah, guys and girls, it's good to live in a safe universe, and there's lots of different ways to do it. And I'm all for pushing you guys, maneuvering a little bit more toward living in safety because you can. Cheers. Till next time.